Hello everyone and welcome to this short clip on habitat fragmentation. In this short episode we will be talking about the effects of habitat fragmentation and how it can lead to local extinction, as well as how human activities such as agriculture and industry activities such as fisheries can cause detrimental effects to biodiversity. But firstly, what is habitat fragmentation? Habitat fragmentation is a simple process in which habitat loss results in the division of large, continuous habitats into smaller, more isolated communities. Habitat fragmentation can be caused by natural processes such as fires, floods, and other natural disasters or human impacts. For example, picture a road running through a woodland. For much of the wildlife in the woodland, the road is an obstruction that can only be crossed with difficulty or not at all. This barrier has divided the woodland into smaller habitats. Habitat fragmentation can occur on both land and sea. But how does habitat fragmentation increase local extinction? Habitat destruction is one of the 5 global ecological pressures affecting the ocean, along with fishing pressure, climate change, water pollution, and the introduction of invasive species or genotypes. The damage or destruction of marine habitats can lead to local extinction of organisms in that particular habitat. For example, soft-bottom environments include habitats consisting of fine-grained sediments, mud and sand. These habitats vary in biodiversity and productivity depending upon depth, light exposure, temperature, sediment size, and the abundance of microalgae and bacteria. Seagrass meadows are included in this category. Habitats such as seagrass meadows are key habitats for species such as seahorses. However, if these habitats are continued to be destroyed through runoff, development, vegetation removal and dredging, the hippocampus species will either migrate or become extinct. Intertidal habitats are also affected through destruction. Plants and animals of the intertidal zone are exposed to air at low tide but immersed in seawater at high tide, withstanding cyclic fluctuations of temperature, UV rays, wave action, and predation by terrestrial and marine species. Mangrove forests and salt marshes are one of these habitats. When mangrove forests and salt marshes are destroyed, they are no longer able to request carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and significant amounts of CO2 are released from stored carbon, which are emitted back into the atmosphere. Fish species such as sea bass have been known to lose their sense of smell due to living in acidic conditions. With species not being able to adapt to rising changes in their environment caused by fragmentation, local extinction will occur. Due to fragmentation, individuals will always struggle between habitat patches, leading to interbreeding and the loss of genetic biodiversity, reducing long-term health in populations, making them vulnerable to disease, increasing the risk of extinction. Human activities contribute to huge changes in biodiversity. Destructive fishing practices such as dredging, bottom trawling, shrimp farming, dynamiting, and poisoning all displace and destroy habitats. This causes the elimination of food resources, shelter, the destruction of breeding grounds for numbers of species, as well as decreasing primary production due to increased sedimentation. Shellfish farming includes physical impacts associated with farming structures and farm operations, reductions in native stock caused by the collection of mussel culture, and impacts associated with the introduction of invasive species, all decreasing biodiversity. Feces and uneaten food pellets from fish farms alter organic matter in the sediment, causing a change in consumption of oxygen and causes local eutrophication. Fish farming reduces the biodiversity of meiofauna. Agricultural runoff often carries pesticides from fields, damaging aquatic ecosystems. Water pollution and eutrophication are signs of marine biodiversity dwindling. Due to human activities as well as natural disasters, habitat fragmentation is still occurring all over the world today. Dangerous effects on our ecosystems are underway as habitats are continued to be split up and divided, leading to local extinction and changes in biodiversity. But could this also be linked to metapopulation? What is a metapopulation? A metapopulation can be defined as a group of spatially separated populations of the same species, which interact at some level. Metapopulations are affected by abiotic and biotic factors. All living organisms in an ecosystem are considered as biotic factors, whereas non-living things are known as abiotic factors. Various abiotic factors affect predator-prey relationships within a metapopulation. Due to changes in feeding behaviour because of the increase in unavailability of prey. An example of an abiotic factor affecting predator-prey relationships is that of nutrient-rich zones and their effects on phytoplankton and zooplankton. Meltwater is created by the sun warming up the ice, leading to a degree in stratification where mixing usually occurs. This happens during the summer months due to the area being fully exposed to the sun, causing mixing in the water. This is known as the bottom-up principle, as meltwater and wind causes nutrients to occur in a pelagic zone, increasing the food availability for phytoplankton. Rich nutrients causes a rich biomass of both species of plankton in the North Polar region. Another abiotic factor affecting predator-prey relationships can be due to excess rain causing runoff containing dissolved nutrients to fall into the ocean. When added nutrients enters watercourses, this can cause eutrophication, causing harmful algal blooms, decreasing the amount of dissolved oxygen to the extent that life cannot exist. Biotic factors affecting predator-prey relationships can include competition. Competition is the interaction between organisms with each other over resources such as food, water, space, and mates. There are two types of populations, including intraspecific and interspecific. Intraspecific competition occurs between individuals of the same species, whereas interspecific competition occurs between different species. Intraspecific competition occurs between species such as the humpback whale and minke whale. These species are known as sympatric species as they have adapted to coexist with each other. Sympatric species are two populations or species that live in the same geographic area as each other, meaning that they have to differ in some way to suit their ecological niche, as well as avoiding interspecific competition for resources such as food. These two species have managed this by developing different dietary needs, suggesting resource partitioning is among both species.